Welcome to Ontopicretro, episode 24. I'm John Cummins, and tonight joining me is Shannon, Eno, and Presto from Discord.
Yeah, hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hey, good.
I'm doing quite good.
And we are going to be discussing the retro rewind. I get this. That's a tongue twister in itself. Retro rewind game of January, which was Fire and Ice for the NES. And it was also on the NSO app. I don't think we had anybody that went out and bought a copy of this for the NES. I would hope
No,
they
I'm
didn't.
pretty sure it's cheaper to buy a Switch and subscribe to NSO.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy, and I think this game is just kind of one of those that's subject to being one of the last games on the NES and like hitting that target spot where all the games seem to hike up in value.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely play if you listen to this episode and you want to go play it, definitely go play it on the Switch. Don't try to go buy it.
Unless you really, really want to for whatever reason.
Yeah, if you want to, this is one you would buy and you would like frame it or something and just don't touch it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love Solomon's Key, which this is the sequel to, by name, not by story. And already doing an episode on Solomon's Key, this just seemed like a logical next step. Like it's one that I wanted to cover and I've always wanted to play. I kind of wish I had more time to sink into it as well last month, and we can kind of get into experiences and share how far we made it in the game. So I guess, Shannon, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I pretty sure that I became aware of this game maybe, I don't know, eight years or so ago. Just searching for videos and stuff like that about like NES kind of hidden gems, and started doing watch throughs of it. It's an interesting kind of puzzle game, and just always kind of thought it was cool. But then obviously I had no way to really play it legally anyway, with the price just being so crazy on the NES cart. So then watching it, or I mean seeing it come to NSO was this is a great opportunity to actually sit down and play it. And I actually put in a little bit of time even before the Retro Rewind got announced in it. Played through probably the first world of it at that time. And yeah, even knowing and watching some playthroughs of it, watching video of it beforehand, like just going into it, there's some crazy puzzles that you have to really, really plan ahead your moves, because you can get in, 2-3 minutes into a level and then realize, oh shoot, that block at the beginning, I needed to make it go to the right instead of to the left or whatever, and have to kind of start over. I as of now, I believe I'm about halfway through World 4. So not even quite halfway in the game. And it definitely gets harder as you go. So that's pretty much what
Some of the levels, even I feel like even in World 3 just kind of turned it up a notch unsuspectedly.
Yes, for sure. It definitely kind of ramps up. And every now and then you'll come to a level and you're like, it'll just kind of click, and you'll be like, okay, that one wasn't so bad.
But and then the next one, takes
then the level after it will be like, whoa, wait, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, this game is not like a classic Nintendo game where you're taught something that will be useful for the next little bit. You just keep getting fed little lessons that help you make it through the rest of the game. Like,
right.
This one is, you'll have
You
just an absolute easy puzzle, and then they won't show you anything, and you'll be expected to be able to solve like a master puzzle the very
you just
next
have to
one.
figure it out through
Yep.
experimentation. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
Lots of trial and error.
I mean, I will say they're fairly short, like each level, but if you make a mistake, it's not as big of a deal to just restart or in this case rewind and go back a few moves. But there's definitely some brain busters in there if you want to
for
spend
sure.
the time to work on them long enough.
Right.
All right, Presto, where'd you get?
So I had no idea that this game existed until it was picked for Retro Rewind, but I was like, oh hey, a puzzle game that looks pretty simple. It shouldn't be that hard, right? Right? So then I go in and spend like an hour doing the first two worlds, and that was super fun. And then literally like leading up to the show, I've been playing through the third world. So that's how far into the game I am. I'm also really enjoying it quite a lot. I skipped through all the story at the beginning, so I have no idea what the story's about. But the actual puzzle mechanics, it kind of reminds me of the Portal setup, where you get this room, and it has things in it, and you just have to solve the puzzle. And it's kind of like an NES version of Portal, but not at all.
It's
the same
probably
genre.
an inspiration.
It's the same genre. But yeah, I really like the game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. NES puzzle games are my favorite.
There's some good ones.
I like how it has that like you can just do a little bit at a time, on your Switch. Just kind of knock out a level or two and then come back.
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of it.
And also the game looks and sounds amazing. Like all the music is amazing. The graphics themselves are fairly good for the NES. And they're not like
that's
Kirby's Adventure, but they're great.
that's something that I mean, I guess we can talk about it now, but playing Solomon's Key and like it is, you could tell it's an early NES game. Just like how it looks, how you select levels, just the little bits and how just its presentation, and then you get to Fire and Ice, and it is like the jump between Super Mario Bros. And then Super Mario Brothers 3. Like that's the kind of jump those two games make. You have a overworld map that you're selecting the world you want to play in, and like I don't. It looks better. It plays better. Like the sounds better. They just did a major upgrade between the two games.
Also, it's really nice. Sometimes I don't have access to my Switch, so I go legally play the game on like an emulator. But the level select isn't like limited. Like you don't have to have played the game before and be at this point in the game. You can just choose whichever level you want from the get go. So technically, you could just go into the game and play through like level 9, world 9, or whatever it
Yeah,
is, which I think is a nice feature to add.
But it does it. I'm trying to remember. Does it once you select a world though? Aren't you required to finish the world? Like you can't just go back out and. I thought it locks you in once you pick a world though, but I guess I'd have to go back and double check that. It's not like I was really trying it much, but I felt like I was experimenting with that and it wouldn't let me back out, or it wouldn't let me back out once I selected a world and started it. But
yeah. Once you completed one, you could go to any of the ones you wanted to.
Right.
All right, I'm now on world 4.
All right.
Nice.
I'm going to push back a little bit though. I think the music, like I think it looks great. I think it sounds great, but I found the music to get pretty repetitive, personally.
It's good
Like
puzzle
not
game
that it
music.
sounds
You
bad.
have
It just kind of doesn't. There's not enough variety when you're in these puzzles for, trying to figure
It's
out
not
some
Dr. Mario.
yeah.
right. Like it's nothing that's going to burn itself into my brain in a positive way, personally. But that's me.
Okay.
So
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Like nice puzzle game, repetitive music.
yeah, I mean it works for me. I don't have any problems with it. It's not like the most outstanding music I've ever heard, but
No,
uh,
but it doesn't need
it's
to be.
yeah, no, and it it changes between the overworld and the individual levels a little bit. So you're never in a level long enough for it to get stale to me. And sometimes you can just sit in the overworld and listen to that music for a little bit. But
Maybe I just got stuck in the puzzles for too long.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I was in a kind of a similar situation as Shannon. I think I made it halfway through World 4. I might have finished World 4. I can't remember. Uh, but yeah, no, this was right up my alley, and I really liked the first game, and I completed the first game on Game Boy. So this is one I really wanted to get to, and there's just something about I like the way the puzzles work, and I like it that you can't jump. Like this kind of adds that extra difficulty, but just being able to eliminate uh, the blocks and add blocks is a pretty cool puzzle feature. You don't really see that a whole lot in puzzles. You know, you're usually manipulating blocks that you don't have, any real control over. Other unless you're playing like Tetris or something. But
Yeah, whereas
so,
this is about like moving your own blocks around to get them into formations where you can climb and get to the enemies and kill them all.
yep, yeah, or always trying to make sure that you have the ability to move up and down. So there's lots of puzzles that get you get kind of squashed in because you eliminated your way to move up and down. You're
Yep,
stuck
you
on
can't
one
get back
plane.
up. You can't get back to
Can't get
the
back
where you
up.
need to be.
Exactly, yeah. So
Yep.
it is definitely it's fun. It doesn't get too old too fast. All the puzzle variety is very good. Even in just the first 4 worlds, I don't think I ever played a puzzle that was similar enough to another one that I just blazed right through it. You still have to put some thought into it. So I I plan on finishing it. I just need some more time.
Same here. Same here.
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely. It'll be a game that I continue to come back to and just kind of whittle away. Like you said, it's great to just pull up on the Switch, and it's a relaxing game, except for the boss levels where lava's coming up and you you have to
Yeah,
hurriedly
there's
solve the
definitely.
puzzle. But
And the first time I don't know, it was like maybe the second world. Uh, I couldn't figure out how to uh, get rid of, I think, the second fire guy, and I guess I tried to skip it just to see if it would let me, and you can. You don't have to eliminate uh, them in order. I think you just have to eliminate 2 of them at some point in the level.
oh,
Yeah,
well,
you
that
just
would
have
like
to get all of them.
I did not know that.
So
I
yeah,
kept
well, yeah, I was worried about it too, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna see what happens, and it just kind of skipped over him, and then I went up to the next one and I extinguished it, and then it said I beat the level. So
Oh, really? So you
good to
literally
know.
only have to beat the last one?
Well, no, I think at least for the World 2, I believe it was, I I just had to defeat 2 of them, I believe.
Huh.
I
I had
didn't
to do
try
all
to.
3, but I don't think it's necessarily 2. I wonder if it's just the top 2 then, because I
Or,
think there's
well,
3, right?
I did the first one and the last one in my
Okay.
run.
Wait, so there's okay.
I
I
I
don't know
see.
wonder if
how
you.
many there is.
I don't know
Wonder if
how
you
to
just
do
let
that.
them just
I don't
keep
remember.
going.
Right? Huh?
You can't
Go
see
back
the
and try it.
top.
Right. True.
Yeah, definitely. You might do some. I might need to do some more experimenting with how that boss level works. But yeah, I was trying to figure out how to eliminate the second one because he was a little more tricky than the first one. And on the playthrough that I was doing, I ran out of time. Like I was about to get killed myself, so I started hopping up the map and just to see what happens. And yeah, I just skipped over him, and I just went further up, and there was another one.
So
So
you just ice climbed the level. Ice climbers
I
up
did,
the level.
yeah, yeah, roundabout way, yeah. But yeah, we could talk a little bit more about that when we get to gameplay. But I think for now, we'll go ahead and move over to just the start up the discussion of the game itself. This game was released on January 24th of 92 in Japan, March 11th of 93 in North America, and March 18th of 93 in Europe. So pretty, well, I guess there's like a year difference and some months between the Japan and North America release.
I love how the North America and Europe release are 7 days apart. Like, couldn't you have just delayed it 7 days in America at that point?
Yeah.
Actually, it's amazing that it's as close as it is. Even the year between Japanese and anywhere else, because games then, like, you might not see an American release for several years.
Yeah.
Even games that
Not a lot
don't
of
necessarily
translation
need
of
a
this
whole
game.
lot of translation, but still, you know, it still didn't always pop up over here. And especially that close to the end of the NES's life too, like
Yep.
having it's almost kind of surprising the game came out of Japan at all.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
but I'm
mean,
glad it,
yeah, usually you don't. I mean, this game doesn't have a whole lot of translation. There's a little bit of stuff they would have to translate, but nothing major. The the thing with like North America and Europe, they're usually fairly close because once you've translated at least the English side of it, you've already knocked out one of the European languages that you're going to translate it to. Maybe some of it could even be the publisher. Might have been published by somebody else over in Europe versus North America. That happened quite a bit. So, and that's very common in this time period. You usually see different publishers over in Europe tackling different games than they would in North America. So it's possible.
Yep.
I didn't see really anything on game development, so I just know that this was developed as a sequel to Solomon's Key, and I would assume that it's I didn't even see if this is I think it was like a Tecmo game. Yeah, it's Tecmo.
mm-hmm.
So it's the same developer at least. But yeah. So I guess we'll just go ahead and talk a little about the story. We'll get Presto caught up since he skipped all of it in his playthrough.
Yep.
You missed quite the story, let me tell you too. I mean,
Yeah, there's
this
like
is
a
Sure.
like
single paragraph.
It's very important, as
I
most
mean,
NES
this
game
is
stories
like
are.
this is like Kingdom Hearts level storytelling here. So sit back.
All right, I'm ready.
So yeah, as I said, this is supposed to be a sequel to Solomon's Key, but it's actually a prequel. Uh, and in Japan, it actually is just Solomon's Key 2, I believe, like the way that the game is named. But it's kind of I like it because it's the way the story is being told is like a grandma telling two kids the story, like as you're playing through the puzzles. Every
Yeah,
time
I
you
really like
defeat
that.
a boss, it's like, do you want to go on to the next chapter of the book? It kind of asks you. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a neat take on the story.
Here, I
I
just
kind of like it when
reopened the
games do
page.
that. Kind of
Yeah,
like Blossom Tales does the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
I just reopened the game. I could read the starting text if you want.
sure.
Grandma, can you tell me a story? Okay, would you like to hear the story about Dana? Dana is a character, I'm assuming.
It's
Yes,
the main
that's the
character,
wizard.
yes.
That's the wizard.
Yep.
Where to begin? And then that's literally it. That's the start of the story. And then it's just like, hey, where do you want to go from?
But if you
Yeah.
let the game start up at the first time, it does give more story than that.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe if you let it sit at the title screen. I'm trying to remember, but I remember them showing like cuss scenes of the actual story.
Yeah. I
Probably.
have it here, so I can just read it, and you can tried
Okay.
to restart or start a different profile later. But so the story takes place on Cool Mint Island. It's an island made of ice, and it's the home of the winter fairies. When an evil wizard, Drudel,
Doodle.
begins sending flame monsters to attack and melt the island, the queen fairies summon an apprentice wizard, uh, whose name happens to be it's either Dana or Dana. It looks like a boy, but Dana. I always think of Dana as a girl's name. I don't know why. I guess there's Dana Carvey. That's a boy. That works. Anyway, they get an apprentice wizard to defeat uh, the evil wizard Drudel, and he gets to use ice magic to help him extinguish the flame monsters. But you can't just use your magic to extinguish a flame on contact. Like you have to drop an ice block on top of them.
Yep.
Try to just
Yep.
use your
Or
wand
slide
on
it
them;
into
it
them.
does nothing.
That's how the
Right.
rules of physics work.
And you
That's
can't
right.
just create a block of ice. Like, you have to like do it on the ground level. Like, you can't just create a block of ice anywhere either. Like, you
Yeah,
can't just walk up and make a block of ice appear above them. Um, yeah, that's where all the puzzling comes into place. Is where you can. There are rules about where you can place the blocks of ice.
Yep.
yeah. It's there's not a whole lot of story. There's just enough to kind of paint a picture, and then like you can kind of make it what you want, which is very similar to Solomon's Key. There wasn't a whole lot of story there. The majority of the game is about the puzzle mechanics. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that at the end of the game, even though I haven't beat it yet, you defeat the wizard Drudel.
Nope, you just
Yeah,
lose.
I did. Yeah, I did watch a playthrough to the end online, and you do um, face off against the wizard, and it's definitely a little more action type level as well. The gameplay on that last level is a little more action based, similar to, I guess you could say that all the boss levels in the game are a little more action
Yeah,
oriented. The enemies either like it alternates between the enemies moving around the map or lava coming up from the bottom, and you have to. Well, I guess we don't really know how many if you have to destroy all the enemies in time or not.
yeah. With our limited gameplay experience, we'll have to try to figure that out at some point. We'll have to just do a deep dive into a boss level and see how it works.
New video on
So
the retrologic channel.
huh?
New video on the retrologic channel.
Yes, we can. Yeah, I thought Sam was going to be able to join us for this, and I forgot to ask him if he actually got time to play it or not.
Oops.
But Sam could have easily streamed probably this whole game.
Probably. He's really good at games like this, it seems.
Yeah, I think he would have figured this one out pretty easy. But yeah, that's pretty much the game or the story for the game. So we can kind of move on to the gameplay and talk a little bit about what we haven't talked about yet. We kind of went over a little bit of the basics. You can make an ice block on the base level of wherever you're at in the game. You can't make one above, but there is like kind of what I mentioned earlier. I had to watch it work, but you can get as close as you can to a block, and if there's an opening underneath, you can create a block underneath that. There's lots of times where that strategy will help you kind of stretch the field of where you can place blocks, because you're always finding yourself needing at least like one more spot to put a block to connect to a wall, or an extra space to add a block so you can eliminate the one before it to create a dropping block. So it's definitely there was even I think a level in World 1 that required that I couldn't figure out right off the bat. It took like some several tries of just messing around with it.
Yeah, that and the other kind of tried and true strategy is being able to create like a you can't just like necessarily create and push a block. Like you can only push one block if you're gonna slide it, and
Yep.
so like you'd have to sometimes like create a string of them, and then like get on top of them, and then eliminate sections so you just have one block to then
Yep.
slide to the fire monsters as well.
So yeah, like you create a line of 3, and then you take out the 2 outside ones, and then you can push the one in the middle.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
I was a little worried when I first played that first level, the first world. I was really concerned, like that if ice blocked or fell on you, like it would kill you. So I kept trying to like
it's
figure
kind
out
of
how
ducks
not to
down.
avoid. Yeah, right, exactly. It kind of ducks that. At first, I kept trying to avoid getting hit by the ice falling, and then I realized, oh, it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, it only hurts enemies.
Yep. You're not made out of fire, so
That's right. So ice can't hurt you if you're not made out of fire.
And as we previously mentioned, you cannot jump, so that kind of creates a. It's almost like a just a different dimension of gameplay. Like you're usually used to jumping around because this game kind of feels more like a platforming game at first. But instead, you have to just kind of make sure that you always have a single block that you can use to go up a level.
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't,
So
you're just going to get stuck at the bottom, and you have to reset.
yep, there's
Later on,
times where you. Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I was gonna say later on in the game, they do kind of throw some new elements into the puzzles. You end up getting little pipes that lead to different area, like
Yeah, I
you
just
know,
got to
it
that.
was just real kind of small. You just kind of travel in them up, a level or two, so
Yeah,
that it gives you a little more. But that actually, at first, that seems kind of freeing, but it actually really increases the complexity of some of the puzzles. Like having to like lay a block here, go through this tube, go up a level, lay a blocks there, then go back through the tunnel, take a different, little
yeah,
tunnel to a different spot. Like it actually complexes things quite a bit.
it's given them a little bit of freedom to make it harder.
Right. Right. There's also later on there's sections that are like they're just sections you can walk on just fine and everything, but if a flame enemy ends up landing on them or touching them at all, then they get heated up, and then you can no longer, even if you take out the fire mountain, you can no longer walk on those spots.
Yeah,
Huh.
It's kind of an interesting
That
kind of
is an
dynamic as
interesting
well.
thing. Yeah.
um and then there's much later on in the game, I think it was, I saw that there are like black ice that you can use to take out more than one flame monster without it melting
Oh,
as well. But I
oh,
didn't I did
nice.
not actually get to any levels personally that had that.
so that throughout the game they keep throwing new mechanics at you, which
Yeah.
is good.
Yep. Some new aspects just to kind of keep things fresh.
Which
Which
is
is good.
nice.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I just made some quick uh jot, put a few notes in here about how there's 100 stages, uh and then what else did I put in
After you
here?
beat the final boss, a cheat code is presented that unlocks a sound test option and 50 extra stages.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, there are 50 extra stages that you can unlock by beating the game. The 100 levels are broke down into 10 levels per 10 worlds. Last level, the world is always a boss level. Um,
Oh,
another
and you
interesting
can.
thing is, oh, what?
No, I was gonna say you also, we were talking about how you can kind of choose whatever world you want to go to. Um,
Yes.
but definitely like you're going up. Like it's not easy. Like the world 9, if you go to world 9, it's going to be much harder as opposed to starting world 1 and going up. But
Yeah.
it's also interesting that you cannot get to World 10 until you've defeated all the other levels in Worlds
Yeah.
Yes.
to make the 10th
It's not
world.
like Mario Land 2 where you can just pick wherever you want to go and all the levels are,
Right.
supposedly, pretty similar in difficulty.
Which means all these levels that I'm beating right now, I will have to go back and beat them on the Switch.
Yes.
Yep.
Another interesting thing is that the Japanese release included a save battery, so that you could just save your game, save your progress. Whereas the English version is the password style
Yep.
saves. Kind of Solomon's Key was the same way.
Which makes sense. I kind of wish that it had saves, being such a late NES game and games
Yeah.
coming around this time
Yeah.
mostly having saves, but
It just seems
it's
kind of
fine.
lazy at that point. Battery saves were pretty prevalent by 93.
Yeah, they were probably like trying to cut as much cost as possible because again, it was towards the end of the NES's life and it probably wasn't going to sell that well anyway. So they're like, yeah, we'll
Could be.
release this in America, but like the least effort possible.
Could be.
And then the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, even though I don't have any experience with, is the stage editor. Did either one of you guys check that out and make your own stage?
There's a stage editor?
There
Yeah.
is.
I did not try that either.
We'll have
I wonder,
to.
can you send it? Like, do you get I wonder if you make a stage, do you get to give like a code to somebody else? And
I don't
because
think it
that could
works
be,
like that. I think
oh,
it was. I think it was more in line like you would make a stage and then your buddy would get to on the same NES would get to try to beat it.
well, I
But
guess
if
that could work
you
if you're playing 2-player
if you're
online.
playing on the NSO app, you should be able to play with the online functionality.
That might be kind of fun.
Or depending on how it's set up, you could always make a level and then make a map of it and then or take a picture of it and then somebody can replicate it and then try to complete it.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. This is almost like a Mario Maker Lite, and it actually works like really well, surprisingly. Like, I just opened it up right now, and it's like, yeah, this is working. Like, I would make
It's
stages on this.
it's pretty cool. There's not a whole lot of games that like had a very good functional stage editor at this point.
Yeah, this one is good.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a short episode because there's not really a whole lot to
But
this
it's a
game.
good game. It's a good game. You
There's
should
not a
go
lot
play it.
It's a very good
to the
game.
game. Yeah. I was gonna say, even though there's not a lot to talk about the game, the experience in the game is well worth your time.
Yes.
Especially if you like puzzle, room kind of puzzles, where you're just kind of in there. If you need to start over, even without using rewind, it's like it's real quick. You just pause it, hit restart,
Yeah.
resets everything, and go again. Like it's quick. And once you figure out a puzzle, none of the puzzles, even the more complicated ones that I've seen, should take you more than a few minutes once you know what you're doing. Like even if you have to
Yeah.
restart a few times, once you figure it out, like you're not going to be stuck in a puzzle for like a half hour where you know what you need to do. It just takes you a half hour to do it. There's nothing like that.
No.
Yeah, so I created a level. As soon as I loaded it in, though, Dana just like sits in the corner and dies.
Huh.
You made
Which
it
is
wrong.
probably my fault. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sits in a corner and dies. Yeah, no, this one's definitely not to take away anything from the game, but the story is pretty short and sweet, and the gameplay is very puzzle game like, where there's usually a one or two mechanics that how you manipulate puzzles. So there's not a whole lot of in-depth gameplay. So, but definitely worth checking out.
it's not a bad game to watch somebody do a speed run of either. Like it's kind of fun.
Oh yeah,
See somebody that just has all the puzzles memorized and just knows exactly
burn
what to
through it.
do and just burn through it. It's actually it's kind of fun to watch if you're into that watching speed runs kind of thing.
So yeah, with knocking all that out, I guess we'll move on to the outro, and I'll give you guys a chance if you can think of anything else we missed, we can cover that.
No,
No, I think
All right.
that covers it.
good game. Go play it.
All right. Well, I'll give you guys a little bit of time, and you can kind of promote anything you got going on, and we'll get out of here. Shannon, you can go first.
All right. So yeah, I am Spider Shan 8 on Twitch. I stream very irregularly, if I'm being honest right now. But I'm always trying to get up there more often. Playing retro games that people kind of don't really talk about much, or they're kind of weird, or just kind of not thought as well as other games, So I play a lot of weird stuff like Maniac Mansion and Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom. To right now, I've been working on a playthrough of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which is not as bad as people have told you it is. So yeah, I do that there, and then I put videos on demand on YouTube, so you can find me there, Spider Shan. And then other than that, I'm on Discord right now. I've been running a game bracket for GameCube games
You hurt
on
my
the
soul every
retrologic
time that goes up.
Discord. Yep. And so we're down to our final 4 games. And if you're a Zelda fan, you'll be very happy. If you're not a Zelda fan, well, I don't know what to tell you. Apparently, the Zelda games are just the best games on the.
No, everybody just doesn't realize that Sonic Adventure is as good as it is.
Maybe. But yeah, so that's kind of been fun. I love hanging out on the Discord. So yeah, come say hi. It's a great
Awesome.
Discord.
Yes. Try to find out whenever Shannon is streaming and go check him out.
Yep.
Presto, you can go next.
Okay, so I have a YouTube channel, Presto the Magnificent, on YouTube. And I do streams I do a variety stream on Wednesday where I play just whatever game I feel like doing. Or yesterday was the Nintendo Direct. This week's, we just watched that. That was a good stream. And then Saturdays I play through Pokemon Emerald. And every other Sunday we do a game night where we just play like Jackbox or Gardaphone or something. And then I run a podcast called Off the Wah, where each and every week we have 3 different segments and 1 different guest. So that's always pretty fun.
Yes,
yeah.
Go check out Off the Wall.
That's all the stuff that I'm doing.
Awesome.
I mean, technically I'm also editing for Philip Flightchip. So go check out Flightchip's videos.
Yes.
Yes.
Go check the
always a good time.
new thing that Flightsy's doing. Check it out. Yeah, no, that's I did pick a game. I forgot I picked one. The next show's game is going to be Crazy Taxi.
Yes.
And
I might be back.
I have a feeling that Dan might show up for this one.
Ooh. Might finally get Dan on here again, huh?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. He's a busy guy.
Yes.
But yeah, we look
does it
forward
matter
to
what
playing.
Version of Crazy Taxi?
No.
I don't actually own any of them, but
well, Crazy Taxi. It's going to be the first game, so you can play it on Dreamcast, GameCube, PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Probably GameCube version for me.
Yeah, and that works.
I have that.
GameCube all the way.
I'll have to hook my Dreamcast back up. But yes, Crazy Taxi. And I'll be announcing that in Discord as well. So everyone can get a chance to put a little bit of time in before in the next 2 weeks or so. If anybody
And
wants
also
to play it.
play Tetris. Play
Yes.
Tetris on NSO now.
Do
Yes,
it.
If you don't have it on Game Boy. If you don't have it on Game Boy.
So yeah, Tetris is the retro rewind game for February, and we are playing the Game Boy version. And they just so happen to, like 2 days in, or 5 days in, or whatever, decided to throw it in on the NSO app. So yes, now you can just go play it there. That was
If you
unintentional.
want a game added to NSO, just vote for it in the retro rewind.
Yep, that's all you gotta do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to On Topic Retro, part of the Retrologic family of podcasts. If you'd like to send in your personal experiences for the next show, but you don't have Discord, you can send them to ontopicretro@gmail.com. If you haven't joined our wonderful non-toxic Retrologic Discord and you would like to, you can visit retrologic.games. You can join for free. You can also check out all the other content that we put together on the Retrologic family from that website. We have Retro Groove, we have Film Logic, and then also you could just check out the original Retrologic podcast. There's also a blog that Sam the Mole puts together. I think he just recently added something like within the last couple weeks. So definitely go check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Join us next time. We'll talk Crazy Taxi, and we'll see you guys later. Bye now.
Peace out.